I believe that HBAR as of right now reminds me a lot of like Solana, but back at the price of around $2.50. Now you may be thinking, okay, why is that the case? And why would you even mention something like this? And before I get into that, I first want to explain how I'm not a financial advisor, and also, this isn't a guarantee whatsoever. But here's the thing. At one point, Solana did around a 65x from here because, of course, as of right now, the price is around $164.57. Now, you divide that by 65, that's around $2.53. But besides that point, HBAR going to the price of $3, that right there is around a 65x from here. So I think you get the resemblance there. At one point, Solana did, over 60x, and I don't see why HBAR won't hypothetically do the same during this bull run, because people seem to think that, HBAR going to the price of $3 is crazy because they see the price as of right now not doing the best. It's boring. I get it. A lot of people are not excited. They see meme coins, they see like AI projects pop off, and they're like, oh man, HBAR is just doing caca. They may say that. But here's the thing. I actually don't mind, because if anything, the lower something is, hypothetically, the more room it has to grow. And at the price of $3, considering current circulating supply, HBAR would have a market cap of around $113 billion, which isn't crazy. We've seen BNB reach over $100 billion in market cap. And the crazy thing about BNB is this. You take a look at the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem. Back in 2023, that year, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened actually occurred on there, according to Crypto.com research. So is the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem, the best out there? Arguably, I would say no. So if you take a look at it, even BNB back in 2021, with factors that are far worse than as of right now, keep in mind, during the peak of that bull run that year, only around 300 million crypto owners. Now we have over 600 million, according to Crypto.com research. So basically double. Back then also far less institutional investors, far less enterprise adoption. Also, you fast forward to today, you take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF. So things are just a lot better as of right now when compared to back then. And even still, despite that, BNB, again, reaching over $100 billion in market cap that year. So when you take a look at something like HBAR, it can't do the same during this bull run with all those amazing factors. Yeah, I just don't see why not. You have to consider how when it comes to HBAR, it is, after all, the native cryptocurrency of the Hedera Hashgraph network. Now, when it comes to Hedera Hashgraph, it actually uses something called a DAG, which is a directed acyclic graph. So it doesn't utilize traditional blockchain technology. And this is where I actually want to compare it to something like Solana, because people oftentimes like to say that Solana is the best layer 1 blockchain, all this type of stuff. And I'll admit, it's an amazing layer 1 blockchain. However, if you take a look at per transaction on average, Hedera actually uses way less energy when compared to something like Solana. Also, on top of that, when compared to traditional blockchain technology, a DAG typically is a lot more scalable, usually a lot faster, has improved data storage. So if you take a look at it, when you compare Solana to something like Hedera, it just kind of feels outdated in a sense. I'm not necessarily saying that Solana is going to disappear, because it's very massive. There's a lot of good projects on Solana. But when you take a look at Hedera, it's just a much better environment to be in my opinion. And also, not to mention, Solana doesn't have a good track record as it does something like Hedera, because you take a look at, for instance, Solana at one point experienced 8 different network outages in just a time span of a year. Now, granted, Solana fixed all that type of stuff, but if you take a look at Hedera, it just doesn't suffer from any caca problems, if you really think about it. When it comes to Solana, I get it. It's like VC-backed, like in a lot of cases, people would argue, venture capitalists. So it does have a lot of these big supporters in a sense. But when you take a look at Hedera, when it comes to that department, I just think that it's just a lot more dynamic, because you take a look at the governing council of Hedera, it includes Google, which is very massive, right? IBM. You take a look at Ubisoft. You take a look at, for instance, LG. I mean, the list is very impressive. So when people like to say that, Solana has good backing, I would argue that Hedera actually has better backing. Now, HBAR, in terms of price, it isn't necessarily representing why it's so great. However, in the world of cryptocurrencies, low prices doesn't always equal bad fundamentals. Like, sometimes we see a project pumping, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good either. You take a look at Luna Classic. That right there pumped. Is it good? No. I mean, you take a look at Luna Classic, Do Kwon. I mean, we all know that, right? He ran to Europe. He allegedly got caught there. However, you know what I mean, right? Luna Classic has no future, in my opinion. Even still, despite that, they pump Luna Classic for fun, which is kind of crazy to think about. Now, is that good fundamentals? No. You take a look at, for instance, people pump Litecoin for fun. Litecoin, seriously. Like, I think that it's kind of caca, in my opinion. And even still in 2021, look at how much it pumped. So when I take a look at in the world of cryptocurrencies, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that, a good price means that the fundamentals are amazing. So when people judge that when it comes to HBAR, I just disagree. And a lot of the hype when it comes to HBAR really hasn't entered back in yet, because you take a look at, again, people as of right now, they're primarily focused on like meme coins, AI projects. Don't get me wrong, I like those too, but I think eventually it's going to shift. Because as of right now, a lot of people, they're still kind of 50-50. If you take a look at the Greed and Fear Index, it's not even fully bullish yet. I think a lot of people are still kind of on the edge when it comes to either they want to believe or they're not. But once the bull run is in fifth gear, once things spring back into action, I think we could very well see HBAR go along with the ride. And keep in mind, Solana as of right now, I think has pretty much been labeled as the dinosaur status. Why do I say that? Because you take a look at Solana, it just doesn't really have that much room to grow as of right now from this point on. I'm not talking about years ago, I'm talking about as of right now. But when it comes to HBAR, it still has that room for growth. That's the way you take a look at it. It's massive, but it's not too massive. You know what I mean? So I really like that. Not to mention, when you take a look at Hedera, its use cases really isn't bad. A wide array of use cases. NFTs, DeFi, payments, decentralized logs, decentralized identity, has solutions for stable coins. So it's not necessarily like this bad thing. Not to mention, you take a look at when it comes to Hedera, we're seeing many amazing decentralized exchanges. Like, for instance, you take a look at, Saucer Swap, right? That's amazing. I'm very bullish on that. Not to mention, you take a look at when it comes to Hedera, it's really just getting started. Oftentimes people don't really consider a DAG, but then I think it is actually very amazing. Now, people keep saying that, when it comes to HBAR, it's not going to pump, all this type of stuff. But I disagree. When, again, the FOMO is really high, let's say when there's a lot of buying pressure, a lot of buying volume, things just typically sometimes feel like they pump for no reason. Like, again, you take a look at Luna Classic, Litecoin. So when it comes to HBAR, I don't think the future is bad whatsoever. I'm not necessarily saying that Solana is going to disappear. Hedera doesn't need to have Solana gone in order for it to prosper. I think Solana could prosper too, but I think Hedera can as well. And personally for me, I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies, after all, to get hypothetical gains. So, of course, if I could only put all my eggs into one basket during this bull run, I think hands down it's going to be something like HBAR as opposed to Solana. Now, here's the thing as well. If you take a look at it, some people seem to think that this bull run is going to be trash or something like that. But again, when you have over 500 million crypto owners, I don't think the bull run is going to be bad by any means. I think it's going to be very amazing. And again, it's just going to take some time because people want things to happen instantly. And I get it because, of course, it's kind of boring to wait sometimes, right? But I think around 6 months to a year from right now, things could be very different. And a lot of people seem to think it's a very long time. But the way I view it is that a lot of people, they've been waiting ever since 2021 anyways. Like, this kind of almost feels like near the end of the marathon. You know what I mean? So it's not even that far anyways. Now, I'm going to be waiting, right? So what am I going to do in the meantime? Dollar cost averaging, acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it. So when it comes to Hedera, the way I take a look at it is that, again, it's not the most flashy project out there. It doesn't give the most updates. It's not the most interesting thing, but it's very unique in its own right. It's very fantastic. And, I think HBAR is a no-brainer pick for me. So when people like to say that, it's such a bad pick, all this, no, I disagree, because at the price of $3 during this bull run, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. All I got to do right now is, again, just stay patient. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.